Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Is Gary Neville right to say that there'll be low expectations around Ten Hag next season, that patience is going to be needed and it's going to take time, and also that with the big four of Conte, Tuchel, Klopp and Pep, this is a big challenge and it's going to take a long time for managers like Ten Hag and Arteta to close the gap? I mean, look, I want to start off on that. First of all, there's two things I would say. When we're talking about low expectations and time, I think actually the biggest eyes next season will probably be on the ex-players. Gary Neville's somebody actually who's never said sack a manager, whether it's David Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho or Ollie. But we know with the ex-players that under Solskjaer, it was very much, this is the worst United side in ages, but let's not say it's about Solskjaer. And I think under Mourinho and Van Gaal, they were far more open and critical. Now, Ollie was a mate, they weren't. It's going to be very interesting how they all behave around Erik Ten Hag, who's not a mate of theirs. Will they afford the same patience to Solskjaer, which that they afforded for Solskjaer, because they should do. They were very patient with Solskjaer. Was that exclusively because it was a mate, or was it because they felt he needed time? And let's be honest, no manager needs more patience and time than Erik Ten Hag, because he is taking on the biggest job. He is taking on the worst Manchester United Premier League side in history, with the worst dressing room probably anybody's ever known. So that is an excuse for time. But what I would say is that I'm not a big fan of low expectations. I'm not a big fan of low standards. I'm not a big fan of patience and time. And I don't think Erik Ten Hag is either. We was asked about this and how long it would take for him to win a title. And what was his answer? I'll tell you. He said, "There's no at big clubs, there is no time. Effectively, each game is an opportunity to win and you take it game by game." So I don't think Erik Ten Hag's looking for low expectations. I think the most important thing, and we heard it yesterday on the show with Beth, is that we don't expect to win a title in the first year. That's ridiculous. It's disrespectful to people like Liverpool and Man City to think that we could get anywhere near that. But I don't really like, I've heard a few people in the media say, well, you know, I think some people are talking about Champions League and that might be a little bit off in the first season. Manchester United, 4th place. It's nothing to celebrate. We should be in the Champions League every year, and I think that's what Erik Ten Hag will expect. But the big thing I did take issue with Gary Neville was about when he said that the monsters of the game are the Tuchels and the Contes and the Klopps and the Peps, and for people like Ten Hag and Arteta, it's a big challenge. I refute and disagree that Ten Hag should be put in the same category as an Arteta, and I think this comes down to the ignorance of people hopefully going to get surprised by Ten Hag, because I don't put him in the same category as Arteta, and I think that's Premier League snobbery. I think it's because, well, you know, Conte's won the title, Tuchel's won a Champions League, Pep and Klopp have won many titles, they've won Champions Leagues, obviously not with Man City for Pep, but he has won them, and Arteta's pretty new and Ten Hag's new to the league, so they're in the same situation. I don't put that down to that. Arteta has won nothing apart from an FA Cup in his whole career. Erik Ten Hag has taken a team to a Champions League semi-final, a team that had no right to go to a semi-final in the Champions League with Ajax. And last season, the season just gone in the Champions League, his group stage form against very good sides was ridiculously good. Also, he's won Premier League titles. He's won titles with Ajax, and I want to keep saying this. Ajax were not a club that were winning the title week in, year in, year out before he went there. So I think that look, ultimately, Gary Neville could get proved right on that. He may well get proved right that Erik Ten Hag is in the same category as Arteta, because there is a difference between the Eredivisie and the Premier League. But I also think that we shouldn't lower expectations too much and be too eager to say Erik Ten Hag needs time and patience and he's a long way off a Conte or a Tuchel or a Pep or a Klopp, because ultimately I don't think he is. I think if the Man City job was available or the Liverpool job was available, I think that Ten Hag would probably get interviewed for it. I think he is well respected around Europe and he is a top level coach. This is the audition of his life. This is the Premier League. But I disagree that he's miles off Conte and Pep and Klopp and Tuchel, because we just don't know that. I mean, let's be honest. I might be completely wrong on this. I'm not even going to play a predictor game, and I'm not going to say that Ten Hag is as good as a Conte or a Tuchel. But look at Tuchel. He did quite well in the German league. He went to PSG, didn't do well, and he came to Chelsea, and people were like, "Well, he's a good coach," but and then he wins a Champions League. So I think with Ten Hag, it's wrong to put him into the category of Arteta. I think the only similarity with Arsenal is the fact that I believe Arteta's done a good job at Arsenal in the way that he's rebuilt them from a position of, probably as low as they've been. And I think United are in that position as well. But look, I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think it will be really interesting to see how that patience pans out. The biggest danger is the media. The biggest danger is always the media. I've mentioned ex-players, but I think the fan base is just really fed up with the players. And I think if we started next season badly, I don't think many fans would be going, well, Ten Hag's not good enough. I mean, look at Rangnick. Look at how Rangnick has survived the last few months. Many people in the media cannot say enough about how much they don't like Rangnick, and they almost want to put the blame on Rangnick instead of Solskjaer or the players. But the fan base is very different. The fan base is, well, you know what? Rangnick speaks a lot. I mean, Rangnick's had a free ride because he speaks well in press conferences, let's be honest. And I like Rangnick, but the football's been pretty bad. But that's because we blame the players. And I think next season, if we did start the season badly, it would be the players who got the blame, because we've seen what Ten Hag can do with Ajax over the last few years. We know he can play good football, and we know he can do it against good teams because he's done it in the Champions League. So if Ten Hag was to come in and struggle, I don't think it would be like if he came in after Sir Alex and struggled and people would go, well, he's just not a good coach because these players are good players. I think the question mark next season still remains around the players, and I think that's where the pressure will be if we start the season badly. But I don't want to hear about low expectations, but I want to hear what you say. What do you think? Do you think Gary's right? Do you think he's right to put Ten Hag in the Arteta category and say, it's a big challenge and they're a long way off the Contes and the Tuchels and the Peps and the Klopps? I disagree. I think it's disrespectful to Ten Hag to say that he's miles off those. Arteta, yes, because I think he's got a lot to prove in the game. Ten Hag has got to prove himself in the Premier League, but only the way that Tuchel had to prove himself in the Premier League. I think he is a top-class coach, and I think that he might surprise a few people. And actually, the positive of people like Neville and media and fans saying, we've got to have low expectations, it's going to take time, we've got to be patient, is that actually this helps Ten Hag, because if people aren't expecting much, then he comes in and does reasonably well. People will go, well, he's done better than I thought. I will at some point put some reality on what I expect of next season. Me doing it now, which I will do in a moment, is very naive because I don't know what players he's bringing in and I don't know what players are going out. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think the importance of the Europa League was really important, because I think we can win the Europa League. If you look at the final this time, Eintracht Frankfurt and Rangers, why could that not be Manchester United? We got to the final last year. So I think we can win the Europa League, which would be a trophy in his first season, and it would be Champions League qualification. But I also believe we can get fourth place. And I think that I'm never going to be a United fan that says, well, fourth place in a Europa League is a good season, because it's not. It's not. The Europa League is the Poundland Champions League, and fourth place is fourth place. But from where we are right now, I'd absolutely gobble up fourth place and a Europa League. And I think in a first season of transition, I think that would be achievable for Manchester United. And with some of the players that we've got, I'm very wary of us lowering our expectations to levels that we never should. We should still have Cristiano Ronaldo. We will have Bruno Fernandes. We'll still have some really good players in that team. And if we add good players to that team and we start playing better football, I would expect Manchester United to be able to compete in the early 70s points in a Premier League season and win a Europa League. I don't think that's unrealistic. So I'm wary of expectations being lowered too much, because if we're absolutely blunt, why are the expectations low? It's because that dressing room is toxic and these players are crap. That's why the expectations are low. And surely Erik Ten Hag's job is to clear that dressing room as much as possible, or isolate the problems and focus on the good. And next season, it won't be acceptable to be playing crap football and have a toxic dressing room. That's Erik Ten Hag's job. So I think this United side's at the bottom of the barrel and it can only get better. So look, it's encouraging that people like Gary Neville are talking about things such as low expectations for next season, patience, and it's going to take time for him to settle into the club because it's a big club. But I disagree with that as well in a way, because I think Ajax is a big club and there's a lot of pressure in that league. It's just a bigger club in a bigger league. but the principles I think will be the same for Ten Hag, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. Anyway, get your comments in below, smash the like on the video, and make sure you subscribe. What are your thoughts?